Today on Inquirer, President Bongbong Marcos approves importation of additional sugar. Philippine Navy Chief says it is China who is crossing the boundary in the West Philippine Sea. Metro Manila's COVID-19 positivity rate increases to 25.4% according to Octa research. After weeks of rollbacks, oil companies set to hike fuel prices effective Tuesday. And Gilas Pilipinas Women salvages a silver medal in the SEA Games with victory over Malaysia. Good afternoon. President Bongbong Marcos approves the additional importation of sugar following the Sugar Regulatory Administration's recommendation to stabilize the price and boost the country's stock. According to the Presidential Communications Office, Marcos approved this during a meeting with SRA headed by Acting Administrator Pablo Luis Azcona and Board Member Maria Mitzi Mangwang, representing millers. Marcos says he approved the additional importation of sugar to stabilize the prices. According to the President, the Philippines will import at most 150,000 metric tons of sugar. The exact amount to be imported will be determined once they have confirmed the exact amount of supply. He says the government is opening the importation of sugar to all traders. Citing the SRA forecast inventory, the PCO says the country would have a negative ending stock by the end of August 2023, the ending of the milling season, adding that the importation of another 100,000 to 150,000 metric tons of sugar is necessary to avert a shortfall. Philippine Navy Chief Vice Admiral Toribio Adaci Jr. says it is China who is crossing the boundary in the West Philippine Sea. This comes after a radio challenge from China told the Philippine Coast Guard's plane to leave immediately during its inspection flight on May 13, 2023. Several suspected Chinese militia vessels were also spotted on Julian Felipe Reef and Iroquois Reef, according to the PCG. In a television interview, Adaci says it was obvious who is crossing the boundary after being asked about China issuing the radio challenge while in the vicinity of Pag-asa Island. Adaci also notes that the Philippine Navy joined the PCG in responding to the situation, pointing out that monitoring the maritime environment has become complex. Although Adaci did not specify the steps being taken to handle the reported Chinese incursions, he said the Navy hopes its operational commands will carry on asserting its presence in the West Philippine Sea. For its part, the PCG says it installed additional navigational buoys within the exclusive economic zone on May 14, 2023, following persistent Chinese incursions. President Bongbong Marcos extends the production at the Malampaya gas field for 15 years in a renewal deal signed Monday. Daphne Galvez reports.
President Bongbong Marcos signed the renewal agreement for Malampaya Service Contract Number 38, extending it for 15 more years. The production contract, which expires in February 2024, is now extended until 2039.
As we renew Service Contract 38, we optimistically look forward to the continued production and utilization of the remaining reserves of the Malampaya gas field, as well as further exploration and development of its untapped potential.
Marcos also said the Malampaya project will reduce the country's dependence on oil imports and ensure a more stable supply of cleaner energy from an indigenous source. Because of the contract renewal, the President said the government would continue to generate revenues from Malampaya through a favorable sharing scheme.
We thank our partners in the private sector for keeping faith in the government's resolve. Through our strategic partnerships, we will remain on course, stay the course towards the attainment of our goals of total electrification of our country and of energy adequacy, reliability, and affordability, all for the betterment of the lives of the ordinary Filipino.
According to the Department of Energy, the service contract requires geological and geophysical studies and the drilling of at least 2 deepwater wells during the sub-phase 1 from 2024 to 2029. It also includes the conduct of exploratory drilling further away from the Malampaya production area within the service contract, as well as the submission of a plan and budget covering the abandonment of wells and decommissioning of facilities within 30 days of the renewal agreement's effectivity. The DOE said the discovery of additional reserves in the Malampaya gas field will boost the country's quest for energy security. It is also expected to encourage opportunities for further exploration in the country. Malampaya supplies natural gas to power plants in Batangas City, contributing 1/5 of Luzon's energy requirements. It started operations in 2001. This is Daphne Galvez reporting for INQUIRER.net.
Defense Senior Undersecretary Carlito Galvez Jr. says President Bongbong Marcos Jr. is very much concerned about the impact of the proposed pension scheme reforms on the morale and welfare of the military and uniformed personnel in the country. The proposed retirement reform for military and uniformed personnel will include mandatory contributions and pensions for personnel of a single rank and will no longer be tied to salary increases. Galvez says the Department of National Defense and the Armed Forces of the Philippines want the morale and welfare of military and uniformed personnel to be given due weight in consideration of proposals to overhaul the system for their pension. He adds that out of concern, the President has given instructions to hold continuous discussions on the matter.
In fact, the President also gave a instruction that he is very much concerned on the impact of this MUP on the morale and welfare of our personnel and policemen. And he wanted that there should be a continuous discussion to have the common ground.
The DND officer in charge pointed out that discussions on proposals to change the system for retirement benefits have already affected the morale and caused uneasiness not only from the active branch of the armed forces but even from our veterans and retirees. According to Galvez, around 70 to 80% of enlisted MUP are expected to seek optional retirement, not to be affected by the possibility of a new pension law. He says they will look at the middle ground to consider the welfare and morale of the personnel.
We should really look on the possible middle ground that we can really see that the morale or welfare of our people will be taken care of. During our discussion, there is no problem if the system will be given to the new entrants. They all unanimously agree.
Independent pandemic monitor Octa research says the National Capital Region's COVID-19 positivity rate slightly climbed to 25.4% on May 13. Faith Argusino has the report.
The COVID-19 positivity rate in Metro Manila ticked up to 25.4% on May 13, according to Octa research fellow Guido David. In a Twitter post, David reveals that the rate increased from 22.7% last May 6 to 25.4% on Saturday. He added that the high positivity rates were also seen in Bataan, Batangas, Benguet, Bulacan, Camarines Sur, Cavite, Isabela, Laguna, Oriental Mindoro, Pampanga, Quezon, and Rizal. Meanwhile, the nationwide COVID-19 positivity rate slightly dipped to 23.4% on May 14 from 23.6% recorded the day before. Department of Health Officer in Charge Maria Rosario Vergere previously said that the positivity rate is not the sole criterion on the country's COVID-19 situation, adding that the increase and decreases in the number of infections are expected due to the lower number of tests conducted as well as the country's increased mobility. This is Faith Argusino reporting for INQUIRER.net.
Next on Inquirer Today. Office of the Presidential Advisor on Creative Communications clarifies Philippines' new branding campaign not meant to promote tourism. After weeks of rollbacks, oil companies set to hike fuel prices effective Tuesday. And Gilas Pilipinas Women salvages a silver medal in the SEA Games with victory over Malaysia. This is Inquirer Today. We'll be back shortly.
A Filipino deaf content creator has found her space on TikTok. Together with her mom, Erlene Grace creates content to teach sign language.
Hello, I'm Erlene Dominique, deaf daughter ko siya si Erlene Grace. Hi! My name is Grace. Si Erling, mga 8 months siya. Parang napansin namin walang response sa mga pag may tumutunog, minsan nagtothrow kami ng mga bagay sa likod, tapos wala, hindi siya lumilingon. So, we decided na patingin na lang sa doctor yung kanyang condition. Tapos, yun nga, ang result ng puro no response. Yung malaman ko na hindi nga siya nakakarinig, naghanap kami ng school. So, naipasok namin siya nung 5 years old siya. So, doon na siya natuto. And then kami, kasi medyo malayo yung bahay namin, nag-stay ako doon, inaantay ko siya hanggang sa umuwi siya. Ngayon, yung mga parents, kung nag-grupo rin kami na, nag-aaral din kami mismo, sumasabay kami din sa mga bata para matuto.
As an avid TikTok user herself, Erlene started creating her own content.
So, dati daw, nag-start siya ng mga tingin-tingin ng mga video. Tapos naisipan niya, paano daw sa depth. So, nag-try siya. So, now, marami na na curious, paano daw yung depth. Tapos, simula nang dumadami yung nagtatanong sa kanya, how ka nakakapag-TikTok? Paano mo nalalagyan ng music yung TikTok mo? Parang lalo siyang na-engganyo, parang na maggawa ng mga video. Hanggang sa, ayun, dumami na yung mga niya, nanonood sa kanya. Lagi-lagi niya ako isinasama. Sabi niya, oy, halika, sama tayo ng dalawa. Turuan ko siya. Tapos, nakikita naman niya, may natutuwa. Lagi niya ako isinasama ngayon sa akin. Gusto niya turuan ako magsayaw naman.
Using TikTok as a platform, Erlene started teaching sign language with hopes of bridging the gap between the deaf and hearing. She also uses her TikTok space to push for her advocacy as a part of the deaf community.
Gusto niya kasi ngayon, yung FSL ang gamitin dito sa Philippines. Kasi normally sa school kasi, ASL, word for word kasi yun. Kasi yung Filipino Sign Language, parang mga shortcut ba? Parang ipinupush nila yun ng mga things. Para yun ang gamitin. So yung advocacy niya para maintindihan din ng mga hearing, para madaling makipag-communicate sa kanila. Hope daw, yung hearing, ma-understand yung mga deaf. Yung deaf culture, gusto niya maintindihan nila. Level lang, magkaano lang sila, magkapantay lang. Ako sa akin, kasi hindi naman sila, actually normal lang sila, wala lang silang naririnig. Saka yung sign language nila talagang, yun talaga ang normal. Ako, ang pinaka-dream ko talaga, yung sign language, ma-incorporate sa curriculum. Kahit start pa lang simula kinder. Yun talaga pinagaan ang gusto namin mangyari.
The Office of the Presidential Advisor on Creative Communications clarifies that the Philippines branding campaign is not meant to promote the country's tourist destinations. This comes after the Senate's Tourism Panel Chair Nancy Binay raised concerns about a London bus advertisement featuring a Filipina-British nurse. Binay said it was as if the Philippines is offering its nurses to the world amid a health worker shortage in the country. OPACC Secretary Paul Soriano stresses that the campaign is not meant to promote the country's tourism but rather to honor overseas Filipino workers who, quote, do their best at whatever chosen field. Soriano launched the We Give the World Our Best, the Philippines campaign to, quote, uplift the Filipino name and reputation worldwide. According to Soriano, the campaign also released video commercials overseas, which tell stories about a Filipino caregiver in the United Kingdom and a barista in Italy. The OPACC is also preparing to release similar campaign videos in other countries, such as the United States and in Middle Eastern cities, in a bid to boost the image of OFWs who are, quote, making a name for themselves. The Philippine National Police says the volume of index crimes nationwide dropped by 10% from January to May this year compared to the same period in 2022. According to PNP Chief General Benjamin Acorda Jr., index crimes dropped by 10.59% from 15,000 cases in January to May 13, 2022. The figure decreased to 13,000 cases in the same period in 2023. Acorde says the decrease is attributed to the consistent implementation of numerous policies. These include intensified police visibility, intelligence-driven operations, community-based programs, strengthened partnerships with other agencies, and improved crime reporting and monitoring systems. In the last 5 months, the police force also conducted about 17,000 operations, which resulted in the arrest of almost 23,000 individuals involved with drugs and the confiscation of illegal narcotics amounting to over 5 billion pesos. Local oil firms announced an increase in the pump prices of gasoline, diesel, and kerosene effective Tuesday, May 16. The prices of gasoline will rise by 35 centavos per liter, while the prices of diesel will increase by 1 peso and 40 centavos per liter. Kerosene prices will climb by 1 peso and 20 centavos per liter. This comes after a 4-week streak of fuel price rollbacks. Department of Energy Oil Industry Management Bureau Director Rino Abad says the series of rollbacks ended after a month as global demand grew, while companies raced to shore up supply of petroleum products. Abad adds, however, that the price hike may continue only until next week. The Philippines salvages a silver medal with their 77-63 victory over Malaysia in the 32nd Southeast Asian Games women's basketball competition. Janine Pontejo shot the basketball with deadly accuracy early on the set to set the tone for Gilas Pilipinas Women, which finished the showcase with a 5-1 record. Ponteos finished with 24 points while Kate Castillo added 18 more in the effort. Camille Clarin had 9 points while Jack Animam tossed in 6 points and 13 rebounds. The Philippines was shooting for a three-peat in this showcase before running into a loaded Indonesia side. Gilas suffered a 21-point humbling in that contest, which dealt a significant blow to their campaign. Gilas Pilipinas Women will now turn their sights on the FIBA Women's Asia Cup that will be held in Australia next month. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Kung may mga nagbunyi sa pagkapanalo ng kapuso star na si Michelle D bilang Miss Universe Philippines 2023, meron ding mga nagreklamo at kumwestiyon sa resulta ng pageant. Nitong nagdaang Sabado, hinoronahan si Michelle na naging representative ng Makati City bilang bagong Miss Universe Philippines Queen sa naganap na Grand Coronation Night sa SM Mall of Asia Arena. Binati ng kanyang mga supporters at social media followers ang dalaga sa kanyang tagumpay at sa wakas ay nagbunga na rin ang kanyang pagsisikap at pagsasakripisyo para lamang masungkit ang inaasam na titulo at korona. Pero may mga nagkomento naman na hindi raw deserving manalo ang anak ng dating beauty queen at aktres na si Melanie Marquez dahil mas may magaling pa raw kesa sa kanya. Ayon sa mga nabasa naming comment sa SOCMED, mas gusto raw nilang magwagi si Miss Bohol Pauline Amilinks bilang Miss Universe Philippines 2023 lalo pat 10 special awards ang nakuha nito sa preliminary competition. Kinwestiyon din nila ang pagkapanalo ni Michelle ng Best in Evening Gown at sinabing di hamak na mas maganda at deserving ang ilang kandidata na talaga namang nagpakita ng galing sa pagrampa suot ang kanilang evening gown. Pati raw sa question and answer portion ng pageant ay mas magaling daw si Miss Bohol kesa kay Miss Makati. Ngunit mukhang wala nang balak si Michelle na patulan pa ang mga nagrereklamo sa pagkapanalo niya basta ang mahalaga ay nasa kanya na ang corona at siya na ang itinanghal na bagong reyna ng Miss Universe PH. Sabi ni Michelle sa kanyang Instagram post, hindi pa tapos ang kanyang laban dahil magsisimula pa lamang siya sa paghahanda bilang bet ng Pilipinas sa Miss Universe 2023 pageant. Ipinagdiinan pa niya na ang kanyang pagkapanalo ay isang patunay na laging may magandang resulta ang isang bagay na talagang pinaghihirapan at pinagsusumikapan. Hindi rin daw niya makukuha ang pinakaasam na titulo at korona kung wala ang pagmamahal at suporta ng mga taong patuloy na nagtitiwala sa kanyang talento at kakayahan. At yan ang Bandera Chika natin today. Thanks, Neil!
Maraming salamat, Irvin. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.